I'm one of those people that I still wake up every day, and when my eyes open, there's a pit in my stomach that it could all go away. Even though to the outside world, it is stable. You know, we will grow as people need us. And we've been very fortunate right now. Marais is in a position where everything we do is 100% referred in. Kind of weird. Nobody sits in high school dreaming of working in insurance technology.
Sure. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the NextGen Strategies Podcast. We are here at Marais Technologies. Joining us today is Chris Haines, the owner. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Chris, we are super excited today because we're going to cover quite a variety of things, from business to not-for-profit involvement to some lessons learned along the way. And I think we're having a really, really good episode here. And for those of you who are joining us as well, we are here in Covington, Ohio, a little small town just here in Miami County and north of Dayton. So let's jump into it, Chris. So tell us a little bit about, for those who maybe don't know anything about Marais Technologies, like, who are you and what do you do?
Okay. So we provide technology services to insurance companies, all sizes, all over. And primarily we help implement vendor solutions. So we don't technically create our own solution.
Sure.
Insurance company picks a system out of a large portfolio of systems, and then we come in and kind of possibly hold their hand, test the system, help them with speccing the system, do a little bit of custom development. If, you know, some of the systems are delivered complete, some are delivered about 75% complete possibly, and we have to finish the last part of it. But, you know, our roots are in the insurance industry. Sure. And kind of we actually spun out of an insurance company. And so, you know, it's one of those things that's kind of weird. Nobody sits, in high school dreaming of working in insurance technology. Sure. You know,
Sure.
We all somehow dropped off as astronauts or whatever the fun things were. But it's really a thing that has given us an opportunity to, you know, kind of give a lot of people jobs and support our community. And so we're thankful for it. It's just, it's kind of a odd thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, was that spun out of kind of solving your own needs in the insurance space and going, oh, we could help other insurance agencies?
And the root of it was money.
Yeah.
So what happens, we were fortunate to be successful with a system implementation for the insurance company we worked for. And we had a lot of friends that we were kind of helping informally without charging them through like user groups or user communities and stuff. And then when things turned down around 2008, the company we worked for was a mutual, and so it had a board, and the board came and wanted all the VPs to kind of give a proposal of some kind of non-insurance based revenue for the organization.
Sure.
And so, you know, accounting talked about things they may be able to do, and other departments talked about things they may be able to do. And our pitch was to kind of spin out IT and then go help other insurance companies with their system needs. And so we informally asked a few, hey, if we were selling this, would you buy it? And got a pretty good kind of reception to that. And so we were eventually, most of IT was siloed out in its own organization, and then started selling that. The thing that's been weird since then is we're not that company. We're not even close to that company we started because of kind of just eternal pivot on everything that we've done. You know, so we initially were hosting managed services, disaster recovery, those kind of things, business continuity, things that insurance companies traditionally struggled with. And then at one point, one of our customers came and said, hey, you ever do any software testing? And we were for the company we were still associated with. And so we said, sure, we'll give that a try for you. And we went off and did that, and that just continued to grow. And then at the same time, you have the cloud and stuff coming against us on the hosting side, and it was getting more difficult. And also that's a 24/7 business, and our customers were spread all over the country, and they wanted releases installed at all times and getting people that were okay with working at that level was getting more difficult. And so it just was, over time, a logical thing. At the end, we were actually able to transition a lot of the hosting we were doing to a partner, and even some employees to them, and they've been able to take that. We were hosting their solution, so it was very logical for them to take it. But as we look back now, and at the start of our 18th year of operation, Marais is not even close to what we were spun out to be, which is good. I mean, I'm very happy with where we are, but it's weird how, that's a lesson, I guess, not to be too preachy about it. Like, you just got to go with the flow. I mean, I don't want anybody that's buying our services currently or thinking about buying our services to think we don't have any idea what we're doing. But you do have to kind of make it up as you go along. I mean, you can't really get too upset or anxious or worry about what am I going to be a year from now. You kind of just take it one day at a time, and as it flows or transitions, everything we do now, at some point somebody looked at us and said, hey, I know you may not do this, but you ever thought about giving this a try? And so we've done it, and then been able to possibly sell that to somebody else or grow that. And so, and I'm not going to say not a lot of sleepless nights or things wondering if we could pull this off or we could do something, but it is kind of unique.
That's a really good piece of advice, and I take that too, because I feel like there's and we've talked about this on the show, there is a lot of immense pressure that you hear from outside channels that you got to niche down, you got to find that one little thing that you do great. Mm-hmm. So you can market to that so easily, and it's encouraging to hear you kind of talk about your story of where you just kind of solved problems and pivoted and became what you became, and it wasn't necessarily this big intentional push to drill way down into this one thing. Because there's a lot of pressure, I feel like, for businesses to do that, and you kind of just stayed agile and flexible with it, and it's worked well for you guys.
And there probably had to be a lot of like listening and feedback from your customers of like, hey, how can we help you more? Or like, what are you liking? What are you not liking? Like, where can we, because like you have to build off of those relationships.
Yeah, and I think so. And, and part of it is the freedom. We were, about 9 years ago now, we were able to acquire the company from our previous employer. So it's a family-owned business now, and so we run independent. And so through that, there was no pressure other than what we put on ourselves. Mm-hmm. There was no investor pressure, or now it's VC for everybody and stuff, and telling us to raise rates or to forget this, it's not profitable, or those kind of things, because you don't know that, the loss leaders, and you go in and you do a small project that isn't really going to make you, but what that grows into. Every relationship, we sell everything we sell on a pay-as-you-go, as-needed hourly basis. So unlike our competition, we don't lock people into 3-year agreements where they have to buy this whether they need it or not. And so we'll go in and do an hour. I mean, it's literally an hour. The first hour is all we're committed to do. And then you grow that relationship. So you have to have feedback with the customer. Yes. You have to be, it's important, very important to me at my core that Marais provides value for the people that we're working with. Yeah. I don't want to look at myself in the mirror and be making money off somebody. Now we do make money on chaos. I mean, that's system implementations are off the rails or those kind of things and stuff. Yeah. And I'm not proud of, that they're struggling, but we work ourselves out of work, which is not smart sometimes, but we clean up the problems, and then at times there's nothing for us to do until that company chooses to go into a new market or a new state or something. They may bring us back for that. But you do have to be, but that pressure to say it's okay that, we don't do aggressive sales projections. It's, we will grow as people need us. And we've been very fortunate right now. Marais is in a position where everything we do is 100% referred in. So we don't chase work. We don't do lead gen, or we don't have anybody cold calling. We've tried to do our best by so many people that people are telling people about us, and we get calls, and that's sustainable for us. But you don't get there by upsetting your customers or ignoring their feedback or trying to be what they need you to be. And
so can I ask you a question then? So like, that is like the perfect spot to be in. I feel like for a lot of business owners is where you're like, you're steady, you're consistent to a certain degree, right? There's always ebbs and flows. You're getting great referrals that come in from folks, and that's how you're steadily growing the business. And I know some business owners, and maybe this is just a personality trait of yourself, or maybe something you learn along the way, where they're like, oh, I'm getting this like consistent revenue. Like now I also want to go and invest in, I could blow this up. Like why not 10x it? Why not 20x it? And I'm just curious from your perspective, like, is it a personality thing? Is it like I bumped my head doing that before type thing?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think that, you have to be, you have to look at it and say, okay, I'm comfortable, first of all, with my lifestyle,
Sure.
and your family's lifestyle. And you want to provide, my primary driver in everything I'm doing every day is providing a good life for my family. I mean, that's the driver for me. So, sure, I'd love to have, multiple houses all over the country and be jetting in my own jet to all of them.
Sure.
But at what cost?
Mm-hmm.
At what did we do? So, there are people that give me a lot of advice in the industry and things about what we could be doing and what we should be doing. And I think that we are making moves to go that route. But, a very unique opportunity for us is a lot of our competition, or the companies that do what we do, they may line up with one vendor or two vendors and get very close and support a number of their customers. Mm-hmm. Marias right now is going into our 25th different system. Mm-hmm. So I stay friendly. We stay agnostic. We don't do vendor selection. We don't help. We don't cross that line to tell people you have to buy these people at all costs. We say whoever you choose, we'll support. So with that, could you argue that, we could hire a full sales team and cold call the heck out of all those people running all those systems and just blow this thing up? Definitely. And again, it's and I'm saying we're not going to not pursue that.
Sure.
But at what cost? I've hiring is a struggle for all of us, for almost every industry, every company. Mm-hmm. I worry a lot about burnout here for our people. I'll push it as hard as I have to push it, but I know with our managers and things, when they're having to step up and we're working a lot of voluntary overtime, we got to solve that problem before we go become everything that Marias can be. And I think the upside for us is very high, but a lot of it comes back to that, at what cost, if you're doing it.
And it sounds like, that intentional growth, like, you can only go as far as what the people who are working here can bring you. And if they're not satisfied, if they're not happy, if they're not enjoying what they're doing and feeling fulfilled and not being overwhelmed or over capacity, you could go chasing new stuff, but it might crash when it comes in.
Yeah, you're exactly right. As
go too fast.
So with that, we try to manage who we're talking to. We don't want to at the same, at the flip side of that, we don't want to turn any work away. So we are constantly building a bench. We're trying to get out in front of there. We have a very deep internship program that we're always trying to bring on, even at an intern level. I mean, we hire realistically from about 16 to 70, and we've had employees in the last year that we've hired from 16 or 17 years old to 62, 63. I mean, and so it for us, it's really whatever works. We're not desperate enough to take anybody that sends in a resume, but at the same time, we'll try to do what we can. But, my hope is for this year, that we can make some progress in that hiring area and build a really deep bench, and then go maybe see what Marias is capable of. You always have that desire to want to see what you've built or what you can do. Yeah. And so that's my hope.
I appreciate hearing that take, because it's kind of part of the reason why we have this show, is to give some of these real life stories of successful business owners navigating this, because there are so many advisors out in the world who will make it seem like you don't know what you're doing if you're not going crazy with it. And the reality of it is that a lot of businesses fail or get significantly worse by chasing that top line like crazy. We just had, which the episode isn't out yet, but we just had one with Jamie McGregor, who talked about that. He said that the chase to X number of revenue was one of the biggest mistakes I had ever made. And it's just refreshing to hear building something you're proud of and something that your employees are proud of, something that's sustainable.
Yeah.
I think it's a fresher breath air.
Well, the thing is that you used a word there that's difficult for me, sustainable. I'm one of those people that I still wake up every day, and when my eyes open, there's a pit in my stomach that it could all go away. Even though to the outside world, it is stable. I don't want people to think that like we're not financially stable. I mean,
you don't feel that way as an entrepreneur.
What we do is pretty sustainable at at the size we are and what we're doing. But and I think this was on Grant's list, but COVID just made it all seem so fragile.
Yeah, I'd love to, and exactly right. I know you've had kind of, some ebbs and flows of the business, like kind of what, because I think COVID had an effect on. There's not a business in any industry that did not have an effect on. I'd love to kind of hear a little bit more like what that looked like for you guys.
Yeah, it was a struggle. I mean, and the hardest part was letting people that work for us not pick up on the fact that it was a struggle. It was a deep, dark time. We had decided right leading up to about 2019, late 18, 19, we had determined that we were too big for the building that we had. So we either had to move to somewhere else and acquire a building, or make a large investment in downtown and continue to grow here. And so we went all in, acquired 7 buildings. 6 of them had to come down for various reasons. I would have loved to have kept them from a historic standpoint, but 1 was condemned and 2 had issues where they weren't going to get gas service back to them ever. And so we committed to building this huge building, 26,000 square feet, 3 stories. Told the world, announced it, and then you go down this path, and then boom, and the worst part was, but right before COVID, we tore the buildings down, so there was no going back.
Right? Yeah, there's nothing.
It was like okay, now what? Like downtown, the main street, there's 6 buildings missing if we don't go forward. So there was this crazy pressure to go into this project, even though there was, we got to about 6 to 8 months into COVID. I remember it was, we were all, at that point, of course, working from home. 2 weeks before Christmas, lost 40% of our revenue in the same week because everything we sold was pay as you go, as needed. Right. Our largest customer at the time went under and was taken over by the state that they were in. And then in the same week, our second largest customer decided to get out of the business. It was a large multi-billion-dollar organization that what we were working with, they decided to just shut that division down. So everybody got let go, everybody got sent home, and so did we at the same time. So you're 2 weeks before Christmas. You're, at that point, we're about 54 employees for Marias. We're predominantly, we're heavy female. I mean, we're about 90% female here, and it's not intentional. Not that, it's a good thing, I feel, for our work ethic, but that's who traditionally applies for our jobs. A lot of our jobs, are in the area we are, and so. What am I doing here? Am I telling all these people that predominantly at one point, 71% of the women we had here were mothers. Mm-hmm. Am I telling them all, hey, you have no job 2 weeks before Christmas, here you go, we'll see ya, or do we internalize it and try to act like everything's all right? And so we decide with option B that we're, going to act like everything's fine. And we keep them all on staff. The ERTC money's nowhere close to covering what we need to pay this. We are injecting capital in. We actually had to cash out my wife's 401. My wife's a surgical nurse by trade. Cash out her 401k to make payroll, like to keep people employed because their families rely on it. We're all local. Everybody that works for us lives tight community. And so, and I can remember. I was doing crazy things. You're working from home, so I'm like still in my pajamas. I can't bring myself to even take a shower, or whatever, because I'm distraught. I'm like sending handwritten letters to presidents of insurance companies trying to open doors at that point because I got to get these people work. They're working we're not billing their time. They don't know it. I mean, we have like 2 people on the same project, when it should have been one resource, we have two resources. And so we start to claw out. I remember somebody in the industry called me with a lead from a very large company and that needed our help, that they were recommending us in. And this is about 3 months later, where we've just been, like you said, going through it. I mean, at this point. And I can remember after that call just like losing it. But here I am, trying to be strong old man and just breaking down over the possibility of possibly getting back to break even or getting work.
Yeah.
And so I'm not the best at having my rear end in a pew every Sunday morning, but I understand there's probably somebody driving the things that happen. And I understand that that's probably God's plan. I'm not quite sure why it has to continue to be at times as trying as it is.
Sure.
But, so that probably, as much as I don't want to go through it again, it gave us an opportunity to see how our staff worked remote. They didn't work very good. They tried their best. I'm not criticizing them at all, but the model didn't work very good for what we do. So we had an opportunity to do that in a time where there was pressure for everybody to go remote, even before that happened. So we got to experience that. We got to try that. And we also got to have a true appreciation for, as I mentioned earlier, how brittle this is, how fragile this is. And for the days it's going well, have a greater appreciation for that, and why not to make dumb decisions, even though it wasn't our decisions that led to our temporary downfall. I'm not that person that, somebody calls me and says something dramatic like, hey, Chris, if you added on selling used cell phones, you can make an extra $1 million this year in revenue. Yeah, sure. I don't care. Like, it's not about that for me. It's about providing jobs, being stable, not taking risks with our people and their careers. And, I not to get too philosophical or way off on a tangent here, but like, we've had an opportunity with the people that we employ to do some really good things in their lives, I think. And and like every company, there's probably people out there that it didn't work out for them with us, and they're maybe don't have the same opinion of us and what we do. But we have some great stories of, single moms that worked up through the company and became managers and provided for their families and things. And, people coming in here and raising their family on the salary that we've been able to provide. And I'm really proud of that. Unfortunately, when this is all over for me, and maybe even for the rest of the family, people will remember the big building in downtown Covington. That's what people unfortunately will remember. That's not, I very much hope that's not what we're remembered for. I would very much hope that it was for hopefully being a positive influence or changing some people's lives, especially our employees, and maybe through the things we've been able to do in the community, I guess, the positive things. But yeah, COVID really put it all in perspective. And I don't, and it seems like it was just yesterday, but it really wasn't.
It's crazy. I know. It's going on 6 years. Yeah, going on 6 years. Jeez.
Yeah. It's like the lessons will not fade anytime soon.
Yeah. It was so multifaceted too, because like the first 6 weeks, so I mean, we really didn't know if like everyone we knew that was elderly would die.
Yeah,
I mean, like you went from that to then just trying to figure out how to work in a different way. Like there's so many different gut punching things through it. But I really appreciate hearing the story, because I think that, and we might get into this a little bit later, but like perspective of business owners, there's a lot of negative perspective of business owners sometimes from the general public about, or even if you're
or the employees
of like, I bet they did good this year. And it's like, they probably did in some years. And then there are other years that they liquidated everything that they had to keep the thing going.
It's like, and Maurice is very stable now and does, well now, but I still haven't gotten back all the back pay that I didn't voluntarily take while that was happening now 6 years later, like you're talking about. Like there were opportunities. I would guess that it cost my wife and I probably 7 figures at least to keep all those people employed as long as we did. That won't come back, So I'm with you. I hate big corporations too. No, I mean, the man and the man or whatever. But it's like that's me to a certain degree at times. And they think, well, I bet that, look at them. I bet they did really well. No, it's. Nobody knows. I mean, nobody really knows. Under the covers, what's really going on. It ain't all fun and games. And I struggle with it because, even now, is that I get asked a lot, as you can imagine, to come speak at career day at school or speak at some career class. And I'd love to go up there, and I try to keep it together and say it's right. Yeah, exactly. It's like
this is real.
Yeah. It's like, you're like, what should I do to be like you? Well, number one, don't be like me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a thing, I saw recently, there was an anniversary for an employee that had worked at a local fast food restaurant for 50 years, and it was out on the internet, and it was a big deal. And and it's like, they should be as proud of that as anything I've ever done. And their family should be as proud of them for that as anything I've ever done or had the opportunity to do. And I'm not sure that's a worse decision than what I've done. Some days is, I don't know the right answer. I don't know that it's as easy as, go and do these things and push yourself and start these organizations. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with making a choice to be a cog in a machine and work for somebody else and make a good living and be happy. I'm not by any means going to say I'm unhappy, but it's not for everyone, I guess.
Yeah. It must be nice things.
Yeah. I think, that's, again, I echo Tyler, sharing that story of just, what that looks like from your perspective. And oftentimes, there's a lot of glamour. Again, Tyler loves bringing up the people who are online giving you advice and telling you to be an entrepreneur and stuff. And there's a lot of glamour to it when it's going well. But there's a lot of to your standpoint, where you wake up, you're like, oh man, I'm one bad decision away from it being gone. And especially at the early onset. And then it's just funny, you talk about all the years and later, you still have a little bit of that every day when you wake up, you're like, oh, I got to have a little bit of a little bit of an edge here, because it is you directly, indirectly, what you're doing, affects not just you, affects a lot of others. Awesome. Well, I think that's something that many of our viewers in many different ways can resonate with. So thank you again, Chris. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the NextGen Strategies Podcast. You can continue to subscribe, follow us on all the different social channels. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks for tuning in to the NextGen Strategies Podcast, where we share real stories and practical strategies to help you grow your business. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to like and share it on social media.